Joining us now on the program, we always like to sit down each quarter and have a conversation with CHS President and CEO Debertin as we look at their income and earnings each and every quarter. And we are doing that here today on the program right now as Debertin joins us. And it's good to talk with you again, sir. Hope you're doing well. Thanks for joining us.
Happy to be here, Jesse. Good to see you again.
Well, let's dive in, Jay, and look at the second quarter earnings for CHS. Again, another quarter of solid earnings. Can you give us kind of the overall picture here to start, Jay?
Sure. So overall, we're reporting earnings through 6 months, so half of our year of about $693 million. It's our second best 6 months to start that we've had in the history of the company. For the quarter only, we are reporting earnings of $170 million on revenues of about $9.1 billion. And $170 million is just the way you described it. Good solid quarter, Jesse. We probably felt the impacts of this winter in our energy segment pretty significantly in a company that sells propane for heating and heating oil and things of that nature. It was just, the winter was what it was. And really, we didn't see cold weather much of anywhere across our trade territory, except for maybe a week there in January where it got a little cool. But beyond that, not much snow, not much cold weather anywhere. So in energy, we felt it. But that's that's what we experience other years too, and we did this one.
Well, those ebbs and flows, that's part of why you and I have had this conversation many times in the past about how diversified the CHS portfolio is. So maybe when energy's down, things like the agronomy sector, et cetera, are able to, kind of, keep things even and keep the boat afloat, so to speak. Right, Jay?
That's right. I mean, the diversity of the company is exceptionally strong. And in fact, in our ag segment, we reported earnings of about $57 million, which was up significantly over the prior year. And we saw just better performance in our retail and wholesale agronomy area, in our grain and oilseed area, and really just continued strong performance in our crushing soybean and canola area. So you're absolutely right. That diversity is one of the strengths of CHS, and in a year like this where you don't have winter for the energy segment, the ag side came through strong.
Well, and I think overall as well, with the earnings that we look at each and every quarter and every year from CHS, and thinking about that cooperative model, Jay, again, a lot of this speaks to the overall health of the cooperative model and some of the returns that will be seen out there eventually for farmer owners moving forward, right?
That's right. Like I say, we're off to a really strong start of $690 million or so for the first 6 months, and we're looking forward to a good spring and a good summer. As you and I were speaking about just a bit ago, it really has the outlook for spring to get going in lots of parts of our trade territory soon. We'll see. But right now, it looks like warm weather about to come and things to dry out a little bit for those that had some rain, particularly this last weekend, which is great to see. I think everybody could take a shower, and they did, and they got one. So we're looking forward to a really strong spring and to get going.
Anything on the horizon for you here as we're getting into the spring season, into summer, that is something you're watching that maybe concerns you at all in the ag sector as a whole? Anything on the supply chain side as we get prepared for planting in a wide area, or anything else out there that you're curious about keeping your eye on here for CHS over the next few months, Jay?
Well, we have an outlook of a really good spring. Supply chains are working well, and so supplies of inputs and being able to be there for farmers and local cooperatives looks extremely strong. On-farm income for this next year, in some cases, looks more challenging than we've experienced these last couple of years, Jesse. When you and I have spoken of commodity prices that were strong, and we're seeing just a little bit of a change to that this year. But that's what we face in agriculture, right? I mean, no 2 years are the same, and so farmers are used to it. We're used to it at CHS. But frankly speaking, when the farmer does better, usually CHS does better too. So, we think our interests are aligned, that we like to see farmers do well. We like to see commodity prices, be strong enough to offset the costs that they have for their inputs and their land costs and their costs of operations. And that's just a bit more challenged this year. And the commodity prices in the U.S., as much as we'd like to see them a bit stronger, globally, we're seeing exports out of the U.S. be light. And part of that is because we're sitting a little bit high in the global markets. And that's a tough story to hear when you'd like to see markets even be stronger, to hear that, we're a little bit high in the global markets. But, we've seen that before. We'll see it again. And that's why we kind of keep after this and stay hopeful as we begin a new crop year.
Yeah, we always have those ebbs and flows and cycles throughout agriculture. And of course, to your point, the cooperative system is no different there, as well as working closely with farmers and ranchers. I wanted to ask you too a little bit more. We've touched on this before. You guys have a lot of different strategic investments from CHS that continue to perform well. I know the CF nitrogen investment, things like that. Get us up to speed on some of those investments. I think that's a key piece that we want to make sure we highlight here as well today.
Sure, Jesse. So you're right. We have some very strong investments in parts of our business that really go to our vertical integration as a company. One of those is our investment in nitrogen production that we have with CF Industries. We reported earnings inside that segment of $37 million for the quarter, down a bit from last year, but that really reflects fertilizer prices also being down just a bit from last year. But nevertheless, strong performance in some of the other investments. Ardent Mills, which is the largest flour milling company in the country, really strong year-to-date numbers within that operation. And then secondly, in Ventura Foods, which is our food platform that we own together with Mitsui, having just a record-setting year within that side. So those kinds of investments really strong. In addition to those kind of equity investments that we take earnings in, we continue to invest in speed and space and our ability to export timely and quickly to reflect the farmers and local cooperatives who own us, the need that they have, that we can respond quickly. So that's taking a lot of capital on our part, but it's also exciting.
Jay, thinking about those investments and strategic partnerships as well, I wanted to ask you real quick. We've heard some of the reports. I know last time you and I talked, you had mentioned that CHS and Growmark, who have partnered together before on various projects, we're looking at some different potential strategic partnerships or whatever the case may be here over the last couple of months. And it sounds like those discussions have concluded. Can you give us just some details on that real quick?
Sure. You're absolutely right. We announced back in January that the two companies were exploring that. Growmark, an incredibly successful cooperative headquartered in Illinois, and CHS, the two companies have had ventures and continue to have ventures together. We just wanted to explore, is there something bigger and more that we should do? And the board of directors had committees that worked together to explore that. Management explored that together. And the end result of those explorations was, no, we have what we have right now, and we're going to just continue with that. And so that's where we landed it. And it was, it was true to what we said, which was we're going to explore opportunities and just look a little deeper. And what we concluded was we're going to stay where we are, and still think a lot of the company, looking forward to continuing our relationships with Growmark. But that's where we landed.
Okay. All right. Well, good thoughts there. And of course, we'll continue to watch, as I know the two companies will still continue to work together in various capacities. Jay, great stuff. Again, looking at the quarter two numbers and more. Anything final you want to share, reiterate with folks here today before we run out of time, Jay?
No, just like I say, really strong performance for our first half of the year that we're looking forward to sharing it in rural America, given the cooperative model, and CHS really appreciates all the support that we get. And we're also looking forward to a good spring and a good summer, and let's get after it.
Definitely. Folks can learn more at chsinc.com. They can also find more details at cooperativeownership.com as well. With that, Jay Debertin, President and CEO of CHS. Jay, thanks for joining us on the program. Always a pleasure.
Thank you, sir.